Welcome to Home, Space and Reason, a podcast about creating a home that thrives.
Hi there, I'm Christina Browning, your host.
If you know your home could be so much more than it is, I discuss home functionality, aesthetics, and automation. I'm a realtor in Portland, Oregon, and a home functionality coach. I geek out on every subject imaginable regarding your home and yard, challenging you to think of your space differently to get the most out of every square foot. I pose questions for you to think through about your space and your reason. This podcast is all positive, offering you virtual fist bumps and celebrating every win. Remember, there's no such thing as perfect, but you can still aim for your best every day. Join me on social media by searching for the handle Space and Reason. In this episode, let's discuss decorating and accenting with the color green and what that feels like. Let's think about some green inspiration. Green channels the natural world. It's nature's neutral. In L. Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, published in 1900, the Emerald City represents the place where dreams and hopes could be fulfilled. Dorothy is told to go to the Emerald City to meet the Wizard of Oz, who can help her get back to Kansas. Green is most certainly linked to positive emotions, harmony, balance, and a sense of security. Dependable, agreeable, and diplomatic, the color green helps us to see situations clearly from all sides. Did you know that green was one of the original Crayola crayons introduced in 1903? If you've listened to this podcast from the very beginning, you know that I enjoy adding a little bit of history into the mix. I found a fascinating article on the website of the St. Louis Art Museum titled Death on the Doorstep, Arsenic in Victorian Wallpaper by Catherine Feldkamp, a former research assistant at the St. Louis Art Museum. I'm going to read it in its entirety, and as always, I will include a link to the article in the show notes. It reads, quote, "One of the St. Louis Art Museum's social media followers asked whether the museum's sample of Walter Crane's 1889 wallpaper, The Peacock Garden, contains Scheele's green, an arsenic-based pigment often found in Victorian wallpaper. The resulting research into the museum's example of Crane's work and arsenic-based pigments revealed some interesting insights. Born in 1845 in Liverpool, England, Crane pursued a career as a designer and children's book illustrator. He created wallpaper designs for Jeffrey and Company, one of the leading wallpaper printers in England, starting in 1875. Jeffrey and Company, along with other companies, utilized arsenic-based colors for their products in the early to mid-19th century. However, by the time of the Peacock Garden's printing in 1889, the general public knew of arsenic's dangers and sought safer alternatives. Unfortunately, the walls were not the only place arsenic lurked in Victorian homes. In 19th century England, people considered small doses of arsenic safe and used it for diverse products, from face powder to rat poison. The substance found its way into food, textiles, medicine, and other common goods, so its use in wallpaper was not considered unusual. Swedish chemist Carl Wilhelm Scheele invented the first arsenic green pigment in 1775. The brightness and stability of Scheele's green, along with different variations such as emerald and Vienna green, made them instant successes. Chemists and paint makers introduced arsenic to other colors as well, such as canary yellow, to create vibrant new hues. Despite its vivid and eye-catching nature, doctors eventually discovered that arsenic wallpaper could kill. The ink often flaked off the paper only to be inhaled by those nearby, while moisture, abrasion, or heat caused the release of toxic vapors. Increasing reports of mysterious illnesses and deaths of small children or even entire families gained the attention of the general public in the mid-19th century. It was not until the late 1860s that the doctors connected those maladies with the presence of luminous green paper on the walls. Public awareness about the dangers Scheele's green presented, especially for children, made people seek safer wallpaper options. Literature of the period reflected the growing distrust of wallpaper. In 1892, author Charlotte Perkins Gilman wrote a short story, The Yellow Wallpaper, in which the main character descends into madness because of her wallpaper's design and sickly color. William Morris, one of the foremost designers in England, did not believe in arsenic's toxic effects. He thought doctors invented the scare as a hoax. However, in the 1870s, he bowed to public pressure and started producing arsenic-free wallpapers through Jeffrey & Company. In 1879, the company built upon Morris's work and specifically created a line of washable, hygienic wallpapers advertised as arsenic-free. Walter Crane contributed to this group with the nursery design, The Sleeping Beauty. By the time Crane designed the Peacock Garden in 1889, the British government had begun to regulate the use of arsenic in a variety of industries. Other manufacturers followed suit during the last decade of the 19th century until the presence of arsenic pigments in wallpaper became obsolete. Was the Peacock Garden's green ink toxic? Documentary evidence suggests that is unlikely. However, further analysis is required to make a definitive judgment. The museum's panel is currently encased in its own environment in Gallery 122 and is safe to see. End quote. Isn't that fascinating? In an article on Veranda.com, which I'll link to in the show notes, a designer, Christine Vroom, comments on primary bathroom color combinations for clients who want more than just neutral colors. Quote, a really sexy, rich olive with some brown and even rust tones. That's a gorgeous palette that's also really flattering, she says. For more dimension, she layers brass and bronze hardware with natural earth-toned stone countertops. Now let's think about the psychology of this color, what we know about green. Green is often used for its calming effect. A room behind the scenes at London's Blackfriars Theatre in 1599 was painted green, and it's where actors waited to go on stage. Some say this is the origin of the term green room. In modern day, guests waiting to appear on television programs often wait in the green room to relax. Green is thought to relieve stress and help heal. When used in our homes, it plays well with others. It's endearingly popular and is incredibly versatile. Green can improve your mood when you're feeling sad, hopeless, or depressed because of its association with nature. It's considered the most balanced color, and it's usually the first color patients trying color psychology experiment with. It encourages you to be independent and make changes, as well as enhances feelings of love, joy, and inner peace. Green is also said to stimulate wisdom, hope, strength, and serenity, although shades too close to yellow may be anxiety-inducing for some people. The physical effects? Well, it can slow your heart rate and encourage the preservation of energy. Green is a great color for large furniture pieces if you want to add a safe color, and it goes with pretty much anything, making it extremely flexible for the long haul. I myself have a custom 2-piece green couch in which the L side of the couch can be swapped back and forth from one side to the other, allowing me to have my Christmas tree in front of my window in the month of December. My couch turns into a right-sided L shape instead of a left-sided L shape. When we think of green as it pertains to the color wheel, its most complementary color opposite on the color wheel is orange. So if you have green in your space already, adding bits of orange, salmon, and peach could be invigorating and beautiful. Let's think about shades and hues of green. Apple green, evergreen, fern, hunter green, sage, seafoam, emerald, grass green, forest green, kiwi, lime, spring green, celadon, jade, mint green, cyan, moss green. Nearly any shade can be used successfully somewhere in some way. Remember, it's nature's neutral. Sometimes it's more vivid to think about where they occur in nature. Artichoke green. Doesn't that evoke a variegated, delightful combination of greens for you? It does for me. Artichoke green is actually a Pantone color that is probably my most favorite shade of green. Laurel green is a medium light hue of chartreuse gray, similar to asparagus, but lighter. The first recorded use of laurel green as a name of a color in the English language was in 1705. How about olive green, a dark yellowish green color? It's warm and supremely rich with gold and wood. Show me an olive kitchen and I'll be smitten. Just Google it and fall into a rabbit hole of green goodness. I'm linking a wonderful blog post by JRL Interiors in which she features many photos of green used successfully in interiors. Also on this blog post is 8 foolproof shades of green paint. When we feel into using green in decorating, I'm looking at color cards that I use when I do home functionality coaching with clients, and they proclaim this is the color they want to go with, or maybe this is the color of their couch already, or it's their favorite color. Some of the cards I bring to the table are so fascinating with combinations that might never occur to you at first blush. For people who can hear colors, reference episode 102 for this incredible phenomenon. According to soundslikenoise.org, green sounds like It still blows me away that that's a thing, that people can hear color. When it comes to exterior paint colors, green is growing in popularity as a neutral. Brick and Batton has a fabulous blog post about using green on your home exterior, and it includes lovely photos, so I'll link that in the show notes. Did you know that as of the date of this episode, Williams-Sonoma makes an olive green KitchenAid mixer? LG makes a beautiful, sophisticated, muddy green front load washer and dryer. Incorporating green into your yard and outdoor space is the most natural thing of all. I opted for a yard with only a few plants that have yellow or white blooms tying in with my yellow front door. Everything else is various versions of natural green with no blooms, making the yard feel peaceful and the least visually chaotic possible, because there just isn't much competing for your eyes' attention. Funny enough, green is my favorite color, and it's in Matthew McConaughey's best-selling book titled Green Lights. I listened to the audio version and couldn't get enough of it. Mark Manson's review reads, "McConaughey's book invites us to grapple with the lessons of his life as he did, and see that the point was never to win, but to understand." End quote. I will tell you, it is absolutely not kid-friendly, but it's a love letter to life. Much like this podcast, it asks you to think of things differently and to ask yourself questions. It's also a guide to catching more green lights and helps you realize that the yellows and reds eventually turn green too. USA Today called it the #1 celebrity memoir of the past 10 years. Yeah, it's that good. You'll find a link to buy the hard copy in the show notes, but the audio version, read by him, is so very much fun. It's like sitting down for coffee with him and listening to the stories of his life. I can't tell you enough how much I enjoyed listening to this book on my walks. If you haven't listened to this podcast from the beginning, you may want to, because there are just too many good episodes to miss. I do my best to keep them as evergreen as possible so they always feel relevant. And after all these episodes, they are about you, your space, and your reason. So now is the perfect time for questions to ask yourself about your home space and your reason. Grab a pen and paper. Cultivating a wellness experience within our homes encourages us to actually take more care of ourselves. So it's fun to think about that in terms of ease. What would make my space feel like I'm taking care of myself? Physically, mentally, spiritually. Spending time in a space with indoor plants is a proven way to reduce stress and feel more connected to nature. Question number 1, do I have plants in my home? Plants are green. They are natural. Repotting, taking cuttings, making your own soil mixes, watering, all of it promotes a sense of well-being. Even if you don't consider yourself a plant person, try one plant. Question number 2, do I like green enough to incorporate it into my scheme, or maybe have it be my dominant color statement? Don't let yourself be tainted or poisoned by the 1970s. I have a current client and she says, "Oh, I can't do green. I can't do green. I decorated my house in the 1970s, so it ruined it for me." I would challenge you, if that is how you feel, to go online, Pinterest, Instagram, whatever your flavor, and just look at beautiful homes and how they used green. There is a modern way to do green that is absolutely stunning and does not feel like 1977 at all. Question number 3. How much green do I actually currently have in my home? Could I add depth and interest by adding another green with it that is either muddier or lighter than the shade I currently have? Lastly, number 4, can I pick something to get rid of right now? Go pick one thing you haven't used that is taking up a lot of space and clean it quick. Photograph it and put it on Buy Nothing or load it immediately into the car to gift forward. And then don't fill that space. The less things we have in our home, the more at peace we are. Consider what my soul needs. What do I crave? Time to explore baking more? If so, remove something from your kitchen countertop. Wish you could read more? Remove something you either never use or don't enjoy from near whatever chair is in a remote corner where you could enjoy reading more. Get a small footstool to get your feet up. Get a tall, skinny plant in a large pot near the window. Add a plant or grow light to make sure it stays happy. All ideas to think about what I really want. Forget about what the socials tell us that self-care is. Self-care is pulling on the thread that is my most favorite thought. How can I make that happen more? How can I manifest it into something? How can I practice that thing that I so enjoy or crave? I was in a fabulous Brady Bunch home recently, built in 1972. I had written an offer on behalf of some buyers and had the general inspection within 2 days of acceptance of that offer. Later that day, I had the sewer scope scheduled, and so my clients left and headed back to work, and I waited for the next team of inspectors. After a full morning of work and running around the property in 95-degree heat, I laid on the newly carpeted floor in the empty living room, gazing upward, taking a load off my feet, and I realized that the light coming from the ceiling wasn't lights at all. They were sky tubes reflecting the sunlight down and illuminating the whole central area of the living room without any electricity. Genius. I created a video of it to share with you in my weekly newsletter called Little Bits of Home Functionality. It comes just once a week and is intentionally short. It's a place I can share short videos with you of bits of inspiration. Subscribe with the link in the show notes. If you have an Amazon Echo, you can say, "Play the Home Space and Reason podcast by Apple," and easily listen on any Echo or Dot. If you happen to live in the greater metro Portland, Oregon area and you'd like to hire me for home functionality coaching or as your realtor for buying or selling a home, reach out to me by getting on my calendar using the easy link in the show notes or visit my website spaceandreason.com. If you're enjoying this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the show so new episodes are automatically queued for you. It's one less thing you need to go search for, reducing your mental load. Thanks for sitting in on this conversation, my friends, about creating a home that thrives. Tell your friends, and I'll meet you back here for the next episode.